Will the House come to order? Mr. Clerk.
Ladies and gentlemen, kumu hinale moana wong kalu.
Mo kuga pava ka veheno ke ao he au ulavene ia lei mala lei kua lono lei kua hivi o hau mei kalai. Mai kahikina mai hae mai kumukahi ilono nui akea. Mai kalai la ka mai ka nove ula kalai ke alo mauna loa e. No mauna ke no hualalai, no kohalai ke ehu kakahi aka no lai. E o ka maehu kupanaha kana aloa, no loko lilo o ka moana lipo lipo, o ipo ka hahano o ke kukuna la, I hale aka la kahi o ke kauloho kapua o hina e. E o e makua hine hina o ka mākou, e o e kaulahe o lana I hale, e o e moa ulanui lau o moa ulaiki, hea kuana lai nā kukulu o ka hiki e. Hiki na ea kule ka kapu aino ahunui alua. Ku hano mai o mauna ka ala e. A ala ka laua e. A ala ka moki hana. A ala ka maile kaluhea o uka o ka mawai lua lani. Nani lua ole ka hele nei ka lalau. Ai ala ka wai mapuna olo ai ale. No na luna ale kai hoi. E hea nei e hoi ka waa. Hoi aku I ka malu ihi o pani au. He lauele ka mana o upua e ke aloha. Ka hali ali ai ka moena pāwehe o ka ua e. No ka helelani e ia ka hulilani. E o mai e kalani o ke aua malama e. O malama, o pūlama. Ho ahia ka lama kukui he maama no ua ka mai. E ia ka mahalo ka haina no ia lei. Ka puana o ke aloha e, aloha la, he aloha e. Ke olu e kuho I kākou I luna. Hawaii I pono I nanai, komo I kalani ali ke ali makualani e kame hame haena kawa e pale me ka ihe mahalo.
Thank you very much, Kumuhina Wong. Mr. Clerk.
Aloha and good morning. Today's invocation will be delivered by Vice Speaker Gregor Iligan. Will the members who wish to participate please rise?
Please remain seated. As we gathered here today, I invite you to take a moment. Please close your eyes and journey back to when you felt truly happy. Again, close your eyes and picture where you were and who you were with. These are the moments that remind us why we do the work that we do. Let's all dwell on these memories for a couple more seconds. Now please open your eyes. These memories, these cherished moments, serve as our guiding light. At the end of each day, we return to our families, the people who inspire us to give our best. Our families and our communities are not just the reasons we stand here today, but they are also our pillars of support, our source of strength, and our inspiration in serving the people of our state. Family is the cornerstone of our lives. It is why we rise each morning and strive to make a difference. As we approach the end of this legislative session, let's remember that our work here is ultimately about creating a better future for our children, our constituents, and all those who call this state home. Let us also take a moment to acknowledge the dedicated staff who have worked tirelessly during this session. From our Sergeant of Arms to our Chief Clerk's offices, their efforts behind the scenes are crucial to the smooth functioning of this House. We offer our deepest gratitude for their dedication and professionalism. As we prepare to conclude this session, let us offer a prayer for blessings upon all those present here today, and for the months ahead during the interim. Please bow your head as we pray. Dear Lord, we ask for your guidance and protection. Bless each member of this house so that we may return to their families safely and refreshed. Bless our staff whose hard work has made this session possible. May they continue to serve with strength and wisdom in the days ahead. Guide us all as we continue to work to improve our communities and our state. Amen. Thank you, and may God bless each of you as you continue serving the great people of Hawaii.
Thank you, Representative Iligan. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Ayu, Mr. Alcos, Ms. Amato, Ms. Bellotti, Mr. Chun, Ms. Cochran, Mr. Evslin, Mr. Ganadin, Mr. Garcia, Mr. Garrett, Mr. Gates, Mr. Hashem, Mr. Holt, Ms. Hussey Burdick, Ms. Ichiyama, Mr. Iligan, Ms. Kahaloa, Ms. Capella, Mr. Kila, Ms. Kitagawa, Mr. Kobayashi, Mr. Kong, Ms. Lachika, Ms. Lamosao, Ms. Lowen, Ms. Martin, Ms. Martinez, Mr. Matayoshi, Ms. Matsumoto, Mr. Miyake, Ms. Mizuno, Ms. Morikawa, Ms. Nakamura, Mr. Nakashima, Mr. Nishimoto, Mr. Onishi, Ms. Peruso, Mr. Pirik,
Excused.
Ms. Poe Poe, Mr. Quinlan, Mr. Sayama, Ms. Souza, Mr. Takeyama, Ms. Takenouchi, Mr. Tam, Mr. Tarnas, Mr. Todd, Mr. Ward, Mr. Woodson, Mr. Yamashita, Mr. Speaker.
Present.
Mr. Speaker, 50 members are present, 1 is excused.
For item 2 members, reading of the journal, Representative Morikawa.
Mr. Speaker, may this matter be deferred.
So ordered. Item 3, Mr. Clerk, are there any messages from the governor?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, we are in receipt of Governor's message number 1110, informing the House that the noted Senate bill was signed into law on May 2nd, 2024, and designated as Act 10. May this matter be received and filed.
So ordered. Item 4, Mr. Clerk, are there any Senate communications?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, if you and the members will turn your attention to the addendum to today's order of the day. We are in receipt of a communication informing the House that the noted House and Senate bills passed final reading in the Senate. We are in further receipt of a communication informing the House that the Senate has reconsidered its previous action and has passed the noted House bill on final reading.
Members, are there any introductions? Representative Tarnas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to acknowledge the presence of the Chief Justice, Mark Rechtenwald, and his top staff, Brandon and Dalen. Please stand and be recognized, and welcome to your House of Representatives. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Kitagawa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to recognize in the gallery today my staff who is here for the first time in the gallery visiting, my office manager, Wendy Okazaki, my session staff, Lisa Imamura and Kalai Castro. Also want to recognize, please stand, guys. And then also want to recognize Kalai's parents who are also Kaneohe residents, Gary and Jocelyn Ojiri, as well as my 2 children who are visiting today, Maya Joy and Noah. Welcome to your House of Representatives.
Representative Kila.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in the gallery, I'd like to acknowledge one of my staff members who have joined me for the last 2 sessions serving the residents of House District 44. Christine Watanabe, could you please rise? I'd also like to thank my staff in the office, Doreen Eddy, for holding it down, and my legislative clerk, Leslie Goyer, and my high school intern, Christopher Sniffen. Welcome to your House of Representatives.
Representative Tam.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the gallery today is my staff as well, and I want to thank them for all the work that they've done this session. When I say your name, please rise. We have Flora Samus, my office manager, Caroline Kao, my legislative aide, Alan Kota, my committee clerk, and Irene Lorenzo, our legislative intern. Thank you for all the work that you've done for House District 24, as well as the people of Hawaii.
Representative Takayama.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to introduce 2 good friends of mine from IAEA who are visiting us in the gallery, Lorna and David Strand. Please, welcome to our House of Representatives.
Representative Nishimoto.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to introduce our former colleague and now a state senator, Carl Rhodes.
Representative Amato.
Thank you, Speaker. I'd like to briefly take this opportunity to recognize my staff, who are still, some of the 2 that are still here, my outstanding office manager and favorite rocket scientist, Dr. Joe Ritter, and my legislative aide plus extraordinaire, Sophia Rose Cowan. Thank you for helping us this session. Mahalo.
Representative Bellotti.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to introduce in the gallery, and please have them stand. Without the help of these staffers from the House Majority Staff Office, we could not do the work we do here today. Mahealani Daniels, please stand. Zoe Stenger, Aaron Supple, recognizing Ann Moe, who's still in the office, and here on the floor, Casey Hines. Please stand and be recognized by your House of Representatives.
Representative Sayama.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to take this moment to recognize my stellar staff, starting with Ashley, my legislative aide, my committee clerk, Kimo, who's holding it down in the office, my legislative aide, and finally, for the first time in the gallery, I have my UH intern, Kai. Finally, my office manager, Evelyn He. Welcome to your House of Representatives, and thank you for all your work.
Representative Evslin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For the first time in the gallery this session, I'd like to welcome my incredible staff, who, through a very tense session, they performed miracles all year long, and they, most importantly, kept our office a fun and happy place. So if you could rise when I say your name. We have my committee clerk, Luke Sullivan. We have my legislative aide, Adria Sipole. We have my other legislative aide, Marie Sonson. And then my incredible and fearless office manager, Malia Temis. Welcome to your House of Representatives.
Representative Souza.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the gallery today, we have my brother, OHA Trustee at Large, Keone Souza, and his staff, Rochelle Kim and Kau'i Rebello. Please stand and be recognized. Welcome to your House of Representatives. And thank you for all that you do for Native Hawaiians and the state of Hawaii. Thank you.
Representative Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We have some awesome people in the gallery from Kapolei here today. We got some leaders in our community. If you could please stand when I call your name. Ivalani McBrayer, head of the Neighborhood Security Watch of the Kalpea Homestead. Loke Nightshul, Ruth Kipo'o, Jody Akau of the Kanahili Homestead, and Bronco Azure Woodland and their mom Haunani from the Eva Beach Neighborhood Security Watch. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for cracking down on crime in Kapolei. And also, Mr. Speaker, I want to introduce my staff who's been the backbone of our office this session. Our Chief of Staff, John, who's here on the floor. Our Leg Aide, Hunter, Maizana, and Rockland. Thank you for your service to our state. God bless.
Representative Ganaden.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to introduce my staff. I think they're here. Kelly Dinwiddie Kala, Liliana Sarju, and Kimberly Imamura. They should be here. Also here is from District 30 and CARES, a 501c3 nonprofit that helps pets, Angela Melody Young, who helps us test the limits of the First Amendment regularly.
Representative Ayu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to introduce my law student who is in my office today. I want to thank him for working, Kaimi Haas. Thank you so much.
Representative Chica.
Mr. Speaker, it's my pleasure to welcome to our gallery and introduce my outstanding staff who have returned for a second session with me. I'm proud to call them my friends and also my extended family. First, we have my committee clerk, Erica Anderson, and also my amazing office manager, Erin Conway. Welcome to your House of Representatives. Also, Mr. Speaker, in the gallery, I recognize a few advocates. First, we have Mark Alexander from the Hawaii Medical Association. We also have Maria Ralohai with Hawaii Coalition for Immigrant Rights, as well as Mr. Bob Toyofuku, who I've known for a number of years. Welcome to your House of Representatives.
Representative Todd.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today in the audience, we have a good friend, lawyer, and advocate. We have Derek Turbin. Welcome to your House of Representatives.
Representative Matsuyoshi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to acknowledge and thank my hardworking session staff, Fahina and Gigi, who are in the audience today. They've been great to work with all session, and I wish them best of luck in their future endeavors. Also in the audience is my office manager, Kiona, who hates to be recognized, but I'm doing it anyway. She has been with my office for 6 years, and she will be leaving after the session to pursue work in the private sector. I will miss her very much, and so will my constituents, especially Donald Sakamoto. Thank you so much for the 6 years of service to my office, and welcome for the last time to your House of Representatives.
Representative Onishi.
Thank you, Speaker. In the gallery today is one of my classmates from Hilo High School, and you know, we don't very often have people from Hilo in the gallery. I'd like to introduce Gary Ojiri. If Gary, you could please stand, and his wife Jocelyn.
Representative Pruso.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to recognize my staff for this session, and if you could please rise as I say your name and remain standing. My office manager, Yvonne Euro, Isis Osborne, who is our legislative aide, Alex Malo, who is our UH intern, Diego Carranza, who was an intern last session and is now our committee clerk for higher education, and then also Darian Van Winkle, who's our high school legislative intern. So thank you so much for your work this session. We love you.
Representative Lamasau.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the gallery today, I have the privilege of introducing my ohana that's here to see me. We just came from May Day, and my son is here with us. So I want to introduce my husband, Justin, and my son, CJ. Welcome to your House of Representatives. And I also want to introduce my staff member, Mason Sadiarin, and my friend and office manager of the representative from District 32, Joy Nakashima. And also another good friend that's here in the gallery, Kevin Wong. If you can please stand to recognize. Welcome to your House of Representatives. Thank you.
Are there further introductions? Representative Ward.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, we have a pastor in the House. Her name is Michelle Okimura. She's the founder of Releasing Generations, a nonprofit dedicated to empowering young people to embrace their purpose and value while safeguarding them from exploitation. This is about sexual exploitation and she takes young people, trains them in how to avoid it. She was honored by Governor Green and Mayor Blangiardi, and honored her for her nonprofit's work, and is the 2023 Outstanding Advocate for the Children and Youth of our state. Michelle, where are you? Stand and be recognized by your house. Thank you for all your good work. Save those girls. Mr. Speaker, I lastly want to introduce those who make me look good, or for those of you who like or don't like my speeches on the floor, I want to introduce the authors of those. My office manager, Jillian Anderson, please stand, and my session staffer who's going to be at Haima shortly. So Colin Ford, Jillian Anderson, please be recognized for your good work. Thank you, Speaker.
Representative Matsumoto.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is my honor and privilege to recognize the staff from our House Minority Research Office who has done such great work this session. First, we have Racine Satele, Ashley, please stand, Ashley Kim, Angela Pangan, Kaylee Filippo, and we also have on the floor, we have our caucus manager, John Havelu IV. We have John Stand, Maya Sweeney, who is our attorney, and our director, Thomas Coons. And up, we have our communication staff, Pete Klaproth and Kyle Mina. If we can give them a round of applause. Not here today is one of our other staff, Sophia Garrido, if we can have her name inserted into the journal.
So ordered.
And I'd also like to introduce my staff. We have our caucus manager, Sharon Klaproth, my office manager, Sanwana Soriano, legislative aide, we have Aiden Waldrop, a legislative aide, Sierra Lynn, and they're also joined by my two college interns. We have Megan Doherty and Morgan Starr England. If we can give them a round of applause. And Mr. Speaker, I also see a friend in the gallery here from the Big Island. We have Gary Lee, whose identical brother is my neighbor, Larry Lee. So Gary, please rise and be welcome to your House of Representatives.
Representative Hashem.
Speaker, I need to take advantage of this situation because for all the years that I've been in the House, I don't think my office manager has ever been in the gallery, and I've never introduced her before. So Kathy Cotto is in the gallery. Please stand. She's accompanied by Jane Taylor and Zach Rittner. My office. Thank you.
Representative Nakamura.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to recognize and give a shout out to my office staff, my office manager, my chief of staff, Ben Viernes, who's been with me for 8 years, office manager, Philip Roque, committee clerk, Kala Kaupea Aquino, and my legislative aide and poster and graphic designer, Tessa Kelly. Thank you for all you do to support me and the Majority Caucus. Mahalo.
Representative Ilagan.
Mr. Speaker, I have two introductions. The first one, who doesn't get enough recognition, who always gets the best shot of me. For those who don't know, that's my left side. Our communications office, we have Brianne Joaquin on to my straight ahead, and then Calvin Pagisan, and as well as their fearless leader, Kathy Lee, behind me. Let's please. Thank you so much for your hard work. And finally, my last introduction. At this moment, we actually covered a full row. So please, members, hold your applause until I call all their names. The first one is, I'm going to start to my right. Keola Calo is actually Krista's fiance. They're going to be married pretty soon, and hopefully, maybe, I might be able to MC their wedding, but who knows. But Krista Aoki is the the greatest newsletter and graphic designer in my office, so thank you for your hard work. We have, at this time, from the Philippines, they just came in and flew in last night. We have my Auntie Faith. Could you please rise? She's so excited being here. And my lovely mother, who is the younger sister of her, Joy Metnich. I like to think that my family is actually here for me, but they're actually here for my little sister. Janine Metnich, if you could rise, she's graduating from West Oahu, and she's getting a bachelor in health and information management. We're so proud, I'm so proud of her. She's gonna graduate tomorrow. And then my father, who looks exactly like me, that's where I get my genes from, Michael Metnich. He has provided and supported our family. He's been mowing lawns for over 20 years, and he's the most humble man that I know. And then my office manager, who always keeps me in line, Nikki Watts. So glad to have you here. And we have JB, the boyfriend of my session staffer, Ariel Hall. If you don't mind, please stand up, Ariel. And then we also have Carrie Socher, my session staffer, who's interned and drove all the way from the Waianae area just to make it to work every day. And her work has been amazing. And just to fill up our role, we added in Manya Tam, who has also been great to work with. Members, please, let us welcome them to the House of Representatives.
Representative Kong.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to introduce my office manager, Keone Hurdle, and my committee clerk, Yehenara Sukop. Welcome to your House of Representatives.
Are there additional introductions, members? If not, the chair has a couple of intros. So first, Lieutenant Governor Sylvia Lucas here in the well. Lieutenant Governor. And second, Senate President Ron Kochi and some of his colleagues are here. Ron. So the chair would like to do a particular shout out to the Senate President. You know, it's a tough job serving in that role. And I want to just let everybody know that he has worked so hard this session to facilitate the work of not just the Senate, but also of the House. And as a result of that, we have, in my opinion, one of the most historic legislative sessions in our state. And I'd just like to thank him for all of his work, all of his patience, and his commitment to this work at the legislature. Senate President.
So I am here with some of my leadership team and half of our minority caucus to also extend my congratulations for what is an amazing session and the collaboration between both of our chambers on a session that started out with really concern about the kind of cuts we were going to have to make to help Maui, and you all did an incredible job to make sure that everyone in Hawaii was helped. The speaker may say how hard my job is, but listening to your introduction, his job is twice as hard as mine, because you guys take way longer than we do in the Senate. And I'm here to inform you, as of 11:10, we adjourned on the Senate side 1 year in a miscommunication. It was thought that somebody felt slighted. I have told my members who have lunch appointments to take care of their staff and thank them to please attend to their staff, that we would come and congratulate the House, know that you have our admiration and respect. But since we now adjourn on Friday, we have neighbor island members who are going to be heading home. So good luck as you adjourn or finish the rest of your agenda. And Speaker, thank you for the hard work and collaboration.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. Members, can we take a recess subject to the call of the chair? Recess. Right, well, the House comes to order. Members, we're on page 1, item 5, unfinished business. Please note that House Bill 1896 is deferred one legislative day. So on page 2, we have a motion to suspend the rules. Representative Morikawa.
Mr. Speaker, I move to suspend the rules of the House in order to consider certain House and Senate bills for final reading by consent calendar.
Representative Garcia.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
All those in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The motion is carried. For the final reading motion, Representative Nakamura.
Mr. Speaker, I move that Senate Bill number 1511, Senate Draft 2, House Draft 2, Conference Draft 2, and Senate Bill number 63, Senate Draft 2, House Draft 2, Conference Draft 2 be amended, pass final, as amended, pass final reading.
Representative Morikawa.
I second the motion.
Okay, members, any discussion? SB 1511, SB 63. Any discussion? If not, we'll take the vote. Representative Morikawa.
Mr. Speaker, on the measures before us, all majority members vote aye.
Representative Garcia.
Mr. Speaker, on the measures before us, all minority members vote aye.
Members, have all votes been cast? If so, said measures pass final reading. Representative Nakamura.
Mr. Speaker, I move that House Bill number 40, Senate Draft 1, Conference Draft 2, as amended, pass final reading.
Representative Morikawa.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion, members? Any discussion? If not, we'll take the vote. Representative Morikawa.
Mr. Speaker, on the measure before us, all majority members vote aye.
Representative Garcia.
Speaker, on the measure before us, all minority members vote aye.
Members, have all votes been cast? If so, said measure passes final reading. Representative Nakamura.
Mr. Speaker, I move that Senate Bill number 3068, Senate Draft 1, House Draft 1, Conference Draft 2, as amended, pass final reading.
Representative Morikawa.
I second the motion.
Any discussion, members?
Mr.
Representative
Speaker.
Cochran.
Thank you, Speaker. And for this one, I have a WR on this one, Speaker. And so this is in direct relation to the last bill that I spoke and voted a WR on. And this one is the section 1, the first sentence, that I take extreme issue on, and I don't believe it's accurate, and I believe that it's changing the narrative of what truly occurred in Lahaina and the direct cause. Thank you.
Representative Ward.
Thank you, Speaker. I rise in support with some scruples.
Please proceed.
I think this is a good bill. It has $459 million as an appropriation, which I think is needed. But, Mr. Speaker, what I have is, I have a cloudiness as to whether we're doing our due diligence for Maui. I know when we started out this session, you says, you know, we're going to be Maui-centric, we're going to give Maui everything they have. But when I add up all the figures, and we're about a $1 billion plus, I'm not sure that's going to measure up to what is needed. And I don't know if there's some things that haven't been considered, or they've considered them and they lowballed them because they knew that things were tight. There's an anemic economy ahead of us. But I do know, as I stood here in the Yaniki 1992 appropriations for Kauai, we gave them billions, not just as this, and I know there's another part of the budget that is joined to this. And the second thing, and I mentioned this before, because after 9/11, you've got to have somebody like a Rudy Giuliani saying, you do this, you do that, don't do this, you do this, and you coordinate it. I have not seen that synchronization of leadership, of concurrence, and what to do, when, and how, and obviously this is the how much. And maybe because of that confusion on the leadership issue, maybe the monies are going to shift. So my point of saying this, Mr. Speaker, we should be prepared not only for adjustments that may be coming, and maybe a special session should be called, but we should also be prepared when we do finally find out the origin and the cause of this fire, that we build stuff in the budget to make sure there's a lesson learned, and we, in effect, don't repeat what happened in this session. For those reasons, Mr. Speaker, it's a good bill, but I think it's a little bit pecuniary. Thank you.
Is there further discussion? Representative Ichiyama.
Mr. Speaker, in support.
Please proceed.
I think that this measure shows the incredible leadership, coordination, thoughtfulness, and hard work by both the House, the Senate, the administration, and the County of Maui. And it is a forward-looking bill. And I am also in deep appreciation that this bill contains part of the recommendations of the bipartisan wildfire working groups that we put together this past session. It includes a significant historic appropriation to the Department of Land and Natural Resources to maintain the 25% of our state's total lands that the state is responsible for overseeing. And I think that's a significant investment, and I'm in strong support. Thank you.
Representative Yamashita.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. In support.
Please proceed.
Yeah, may I adopt the words of the Waterland Chair as if they were my own?
So ordered.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, this, as we all know, this is a very, very challenging year, and this bill, along with the budget and 582, encompasses about $1 billion for Maui and to deal with the wildfire currently and going forward. As we know, there's still a lot of work going forward, and we will be continue to meet with the county and with others and with HUD. And there are other federal funds that we can go after, and our work will continue in that area. So in support, and this is just one part, Mr. Speaker. So, and may I insert additional comments into the journal?
So ordered.
Thank you.
Representative Kilo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In support,
please proceed.
May I adopt the words of the co-chair of Wildfire Prevention Working Group as if they were my own?
So ordered.
And I'd like to add that upon the additional funding that we've appropriated, the recommendations from the 5 other bipartisan wildfire working groups, they have made their recommendations as well in SB 3068. And I'd like to thank the collaboration efforts by the House minority and majority members for this measure.
Representative Matsumoto.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In support?
Please proceed.
And if I can have the words of the 2 chairs of the wildfire working group inserted into the journal as if they were my own.
So ordered.
Thank you.
Representative Gannon.
Mr. Speaker, in support.
Please proceed.
I'd also like to adopt the words of the co-chairs as if they were my own.
So ordered.
Brief comment. Many people who were affected by the fires, who are survivors, whose family members perished in the fires, they brought their grief to the Wildfire Working Group and to this legislature. We hope that this bill plays a small part in answering the call that Maui gave to the state. We hope that we can not only show through our thoughts and prayers, but through our pocketbooks that we are continuing to invest in Maui and towards the perpetuation of the healing of that community for the betterment of the state.
Representative Bellotti.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In strong support.
Please proceed.
I want to thank the finance chair and the members of the committee who endeavored to put in $2.3 million into this bill for a very forward-looking public health measure of creating a multi-ethnic cohort study and maintaining a registry of those affected by wildfires. This really important public health piece was designed seeing the experience of 9/11 and other wildfires where public health agencies really wanted to have this kind of longitudinal study being done for victims impacted by disasters. Hawaii is taking a first step in being a leader in post-disaster health management through this very measure. So for that reason, I support this bill. I would also like to have the words of the Chair of Waterland adopted as if they were my own. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Souza.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In support, and I would like the words of the Chair of the Waterline Committee inserted into the journal as my own. Thank you.
So ordered. Further discussion? Representative Cochran.
Second and final. And so I just wanted to add in, if I can insert more comments into the journal, but I just want to reiterate that the sentence about the legislature finds that devastating wildfires are brought on by winds, there were high wind warnings in, I think, across the county 3 days prior. And yet the utility company did not do any type of actions to address it. The county also. And so there had to be some type of ignition of some type of fire or whatever to be fueled by that wind. So it wasn't technically the wind that had caused it. And again, I want to reiterate, there's no such report as of my speaking today of the actual origin of that fire. So again, I do not agree with the first sentence in section 1 of SB 306898. 6-8. Thank you, Chair. Speaker.
Is there further discussion, members? If not, we'll take the vote. Representative Morikawa.
Mr. Speaker, on the measure before us, all majority members vote aye.
Representative Garcia.
On the measure before us, all minority members vote aye.
Members, have all votes been cast? If so, said measure passes final reading. Representative Nakamura.
Mr. Speaker, I move that House Bill number 2374, House Draft 1, Senate Draft 2, Conference Draft 2, as amended, pass final reading.
Representative Morikawa.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion, members? Representative Lamasao.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to recuse myself from voting on this measure. Or I would like to request that I be recused. Okay.
Due to a potential conflict?
Yes. I was a staff member during the period of time that's being considered in this measure.
Yes, you are recused from this vote.
Thank you.
Representative Takanuchi.
Thank you, Speaker. I'd also like to request recusal from voting on this bill. I was also a staff member in the legislature during this time.
Okay, you're also recused.
Thank you.
Representative Burdick.
Same request.
Also recused. Representative Mizuno.
Same request.
Yes, you're also recused. Representative Garcia.
Same request.
Okay, also recused. So further discussion on this measure? If not, we'll take the vote. Representative Morikawa.
Mr. Speaker, on the measure before us, all majority members vote aye.
Representative Garcia.
On the measure before us, Representatives Alcos, Matsumoto, Ward, and Souza vote yes.
All right, members, have all votes been cast? If so, said measure passes final reading. We're on item 6. We have two motions, members. The first is to agree, and the second is to pass final reading. Representative Nakamura for the motion to agree.
Mr. Speaker, I move to agree to the amendments made by the Senate to House Bill number 1861 HD2 and House Bill number 2159 HD2.
Representative Morikawa.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The motion is carried. For the final reading motion, Representative Nakamura.
Mr. Speaker, I move that said House bills with Senate drafts as listed on pages 3 and 4 pass final reading.
Representative Morikawa.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
Okay, members, is there any discussion on these measures? First, House Bill 1861. Any discussion? House Bill number 21. Representative Boladi.
Mr. Speaker, House Bill 2159, Senate Draft 2.
Yes, please proceed on 2159.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In strong support, brief remarks. Mr. Speaker, it's entirely fitting that this bill is the last bill that we're voting on. Mental health, homelessness, substance abuse has been on our minds for a long time and has been a priority to be addressed by this legislature. I want to thank the members of the Attorney General's Office, the members of the Judiciary, the Office of the Public Defenders, the Governor's Senior Advisor for Mental Health and Justice System, the Governor's Coordinator on Homelessness, and even community homeless service providers like the Institute of Human Services who have worked on this bill. In addition to the many community partners that have worked on this, I'd like to thank the Senator from Chinatown, as well as our Judiciary and Hawaiian Affairs Chair, as well as the Vice Chair of the Health and Homelessness Committee, who really worked to push this bill forward. Mr. Speaker, this bill is so critical because undoubtedly, as we leave these halls, we are going to be accused of not being tough enough on crime. Mr. Speaker, your House believes that we can't just be tough on crime, we have to be smart on crime, and that's what this bill precisely does. It addresses issues like mental health, substance abuse, the assisted community treatment order. Mr. Speaker, how do we know this measure will work? We've learned in April 2024 that the Safe and Sound Waikiki program is seeing major reductions in crime. This program is based upon things like the dispensing of court-required medication to 14 mentally ill people through the Assisted Community Treatment Program, the placement of 4 people into stabilization or respite centers, and the connecting of outreach workers to more than 180 people. This measure, which strengthens the assisted community treatment programs, which, in the words of Christopher Thomas, an attorney who worked with IHS, explained that the involvement of the Attorney General in the petitioning for ACT orders is a natural handoff of hospitalized patients to the benefits of ACT street medicine that we see working on the streets of Waikiki. It cannot just be limited to the tourist areas. It needs to go statewide. It needs to go into the communities of Makali, Mo'iliili, Makiki, Pearl City, Waianae, Nanakuli. These are the reforms that are going to make a difference. These are the reforms that get people from the criminal justice system into mental health and substance abuse treatment. We have IHS testifying that these are the kinds of measures that work. So, Mr. Speaker, in strong support, and I acknowledge the concerns of individuals and our community partners like the ACLU, but this is the measure that will work. I will leave you with one story, Mr. Speaker, of why I support this bill. A mentor of mine in San Francisco told me a story about a homeless person clearly needing help on the streets of San Francisco, being told, you can sign up for these services on one hand, but advocates talking to him on the other hand and saying, you don't have to take these services, you have civil rights. Mr. Speaker, 3 days later, that homeless individual was dead on the streets. We cannot have that happening. We need to create a system that diverts people to mental health, substance abuse treatment, and services. And it is the reforms in House Bill 2159, Senate Draft 2, that will do this precisely. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Tam.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In support, I would just like to have the words of the representative from Waikiki and the chair of health and homelessness into the journal as if they were my own.
So ordered.
I would also like to mention, as the representative of Waikiki, I've seen this implemented in our district, and it has been proven to help our community. Thank you.
Representative Gannon.
In support with reservations, Mr.
Please
Speaker.
proceed.
This bill is the work of many years, many individuals across advocacy groups, the groups that do mental health treatment, members of the justice community, to finally move towards smart justice. Unfortunately, it has something of a fatal flaw. In Section 2 of the bill, it removes the appointment of the Office of the Public Defender to individuals who are facing commitment. Mr. Speaker, commitment is the equivalent under law as incarceration, and these individuals, if they are indigent, they qualify for an attorney if they cannot pay for one. I think that this can be cured. I think that if the judiciary were to appoint attorneys, which is what they are capable of doing under the Act, and if they want to do so sua sponte, then we can avoid a constitutional violation. I also know that members of this body and our judiciary are working to create a better appointment system so that we can avoid that fate. Again, in support with reservations.
Representative Ward.
Thank you, Speaker. In support?
Please proceed.
And a brief comment. Mr. Speaker, we're finally helping those who cannot help themselves. This is a group of helpless individuals which finally says, for your own good, we're going to give you hospitalization. They call it involuntary because many of them wouldn't realize what voluntary or involuntary is. We're finally giving them a reach. This homelessness has been a social mutation for the last couple of decades. I think this is a great experiment to see what can happen from it, but it's going to save lives because we know the average life of the homeless person is 55 years. Because of their lifestyle, it takes off 15 to 20 years of their life. So this is a compassionate bill. And I would say, lastly, beware of the ACLU, because even though we're helping people who are helpless and cannot help themselves, they're going to make sure that they whisper, as my colleague said, into their ear, hey, you don't have to do this, you have rights. But by saying that compassionately, we're killing individuals. So, Mr. Speaker, this is a breakthrough, and I hope it works very well. Thank you.
Representative Capella.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With reservations,
Please proceed.
may I adopt the words of the representative from Kalihi as if they were my own?
So ordered. Further discussion, members? Representative Souza.
With reservation, same request. Thank you.
So ordered. Representative Amato.
Thank you, Speaker. In support, and I would like to adopt the words of the Chair of Health and Homelessness as if they were my own.
So ordered. Further discussion? If not, we'll take the vote. Representative Morikawa.
Mr. Speaker, on the measures before us, all majority members vote aye with the exception of the following. On page 4, HB number 2159, HD2, SD2, Hussey Burdick votes no.
Representative Garcia.
On the measure before us, all minority members vote aye.
Members, have all votes been cast? Okay, if so, said measure passes. Final reading. We're on item 7. Mr. Clerk, are there any resolutions for action?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, we have for action House Resolution number 226, authorizing and empowering the Speaker to perform and carry out any official legislative business during the interim between the 2024 and 2025 regular sessions. This measure is offered by Representatives Nakamura and Matsumoto.
Representative Nakamura.
Mr. Speaker, I move to adopt H.R. number 226.
Representative Matsumoto.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
Discussion, members? If not, we'll take a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The motion is carried. Mr. Clerk, is there another resolution for action?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, we have for action House Resolution number 227, informing the Senate and the Governor that the House of Representatives is ready to adjourn sine die. This resolution is offered by you, Mr. Speaker, and Vice Speaker Iligan.
Representative Nakamura.
Mr. Speaker, I move to adopt H.R. number 227.
Representative Matsumoto.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
Discussion, members? If not, all those in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The motion is carried. All right, members, we're on item 8. Are there any announcements? Representative Morikawa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For all of those who have birthdays after today, happy pre-birthday. I'd also like to wish my dear friend from Hilo his milestone birthday today. Let's give him a hand. Happy birthday.
Representative Lamasau.
I'd just like to remind the members and everyone in the gallery that tomorrow is our Filipino Fiesta at the Philcom Center. So come to District 36 tomorrow. Thank you.
Representative Mizuno.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Before we end our session, I would like to announce that my office did 3 fundraisers for Hawaii Food Bank: the Massage Day at the Capitol, the Lumpia Day, and the floats. For Massage Day, we made $706. For the Lumpia yesterday, thank you everyone for purchasing, we made $610. And for the float, we made $758 for a total of $2,073. Thank you very much, everyone, and thank you to my hardworking staff. Thank you, Speaker.
Are there additional announcements? All right, so members, as you know, we have 3 members who will be leaving the House. Together, they represent 46 years of service in this body. And we wanted to take an opportunity to recognize them this morning. So first, Representative Cedric Gates. Representative Nakamura, please present a lei, and Representative Quinlan, please present the certificate. Representative Gates.
Aloha and good afternoon, everyone. Aloha. All right, all right. All the emotions of my final floor speech in the House are sinking in. When I got in at the age of 23, I was full of energy and hope. Look at me now, age 30. I may be a little less hopeful, but I still have the energy to run away from this place while I still can. Mr. Speaker, I've kept a promise to myself, which was to serve with an open mind and an open heart. And that has led me to doing some really amazing things for my community through the legislative process. 8 years in the House has came and went. I guess it's true that time flies when you're doing what you love. Mr. Speaker, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the support of my friends and families and colleagues. In the gallery is the love of my life, my rock, my fiance, Leilani. In 2 weeks, I'm blessed to be able to call you my wife. And I appreciate you for always having my back and loving me unconditionally. Mahalo to my family, my parents, Bill and Easter, who are in heaven, my siblings, Ben, Bill, and Emerald, who are also in the gallery with my nieces, Empress and Easter. Please stand. Yay. Love y'all. Mahalo to my tireless staff, Cross Crab and Lacey Khan. Please stand. Oh, Chris Shoko as well. My staff has really allowed me to do what I needed to do to serve my community. Without their support, none of the things I do would be possible, so I greatly appreciate them from the bottom of my heart. Most importantly, Mr. Speaker, I would like to give the biggest mahalo to my community of 96792 for sending me here to this big square building to represent their values and their ohana. I hope I have made my district of 45 proud and have left a path behind for our next generation of leaders to follow. With the support of my colleagues, all of you on the floor with me today, I've been able to secure hundreds of millions of dollars to go towards improving the Waianae Coast community, a community that has felt neglected by state government, by county government, by government in general, and with the largest population of Native Hawaiians. And it just feels so good to be able to go back to them, to let them know all the great work we've been able to accomplish through this legislative process. Each year, Mr. Speaker, we also pass legislation to improve the quality of life of not just my district, but the state of Hawaii. Most importantly, we stay true to the values and principles that brought us to the building of doing what's right and bringing our people together to find solutions. Some of the people that I really looked up to while serving here is my brother to the left, Nishimoto. He has really been a great role model and showed us how to be a samurai. Saiki, Speaker, you empowered young members like me to create change and allowed me to be an example of what's possible for our young leaders. By allowing me to be a chair for 4 years, you have really allowed me to create change through working as a subject matter expert on these issues. Nadine, our mama bear, you got elected with me and really have given us a foundation of stability, and your wise words always have kept us on the straight path. So mahalo for that. Sean, Daniel, Chris, my guys, Young Lions Forever, y'all allowed me to soar like eagles when you weren't acting like turkeys. Kyle, mahalo for your help of getting my community the resources we need desperately, and have taken care of our community through so many ways, and our community of Waianae appreciates you from the bottom of our hearts. The honorable mentions, my West Side legislator, Representative Kila. I'm glad to be able to call you a friend and to have someone who can relate to our 2-hour commutes to the Capitol. My vice chair, Kirsten, you have been the best vice chair a chair could ask for. Through all your hard work, we've been able to do some things that haven't been done for 30 years for agriculture. So mahalo for your dedication to our communities and our agriculture industry. Woodson, I look forward to establishing our cross-chamber caucus for the Popolo caucus. Tri-caucus. 3G, our pickle master, and the master of madness as our vice chair, mahalo. Tarnis, although we could live without your very detailed reviews in caucus, I appreciate you and mahalo you for all your hard work and the many bills this session, and of course our favorite bill, legalizing cannabis. D, your cooking was food for our soul. Gonna miss those flying saucers. My brother Hashem, one of the unspoken heroes in my life, as someone who took a young person like me, excited to run for office and really showed me the ropes and allowed me to do what was necessary to get here. Mahalo, my brother. And I wish I had the time to say something kind about all 50 of you, but I see our sergeants of arms inching closer to take the mic away. But I'll end by saying mahalo for the memories. I'm blessed to have had a job that has allowed me to make my community a better place, and it has truly made me a better man. I love you all. Ohuiho, Obama out.
Thank you, Representative Gates. So Representative Gates, as you know, members, wears his heart on his sleeve. He has an infectious laugh, and he leaves some landmark legislation during his time as Agriculture Committee Chair. So thank you, Representative Gates. Our second member is Representative Bert Kobayashi. Could Representative Morikawa and Representative Bellotti please present the certificate and lay? So as members know, Representative Kobayashi is our member with the most institutional knowledge, institutional note taker, and our chief protocol officer. Representative Kobayashi.
Mr. Speaker and members of this body, honorable body, the one important thing I need to say is to thank you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you for putting up with me, for your kindness, your support, your help for many years. I know that you will carry on and do well in future years. I've tried to do my best to improve the people, the process, and the product of this body, and know that that is something that must be strived for year after year after year. Similarly, I'd like to say to the citizens and voters of my district that I appreciate years of support, trust, when I try to do my very best to represent you respectfully and honestly. I hope that this has been satisfactory for you, but I know that there is so much to do and so much that can be done better. We have the enviable job of trying to solve all the problems of the world without spending any money and without making any friends, as though all of the problems of the world were win-win. I hope that you are able to cope with the future problems which seem to be getting larger in size, more global in scope, and more complex in intricacies. That will be your challenge, and I hope that you will be up to that challenge. Finally, in closing, I'd like to say again, thank you, thank you, thank you. You have been very supportive of me, and I wish that I could pay back in return. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you, Representative Kobayashi. And our third member is Representative Scott Nishimoto. Could Representative Kitagawa and Representative Nakashima please present the certificate and lay? So we all know Representative Nishimoto as Buzz's dad, our GQ advisor. and one of the best CIP chairs in the history of the House. Representative Nishimoto.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm looking at the certificate and I noticed you signed it with reservations. So I see our Lieutenant Governor up there, and you know, 2 years ago when she gave her goodbye speech, it was so memorable. And she's only up there because she thinks I'm gonna cry. Well, Mr. Speaker, first and foremost, I want to thank my community for giving me the honor and privilege of representing them for the past 22 years. They elected a young 28-year-old who was 6 months out of law school. They took a chance on me, and I hope that they don't regret their choice. I've worked hard every day to try to fulfill the trust they put in me, and I'm grateful for the opportunity that they gave me. Next, I want to thank our support staff here at the Capitol. They really are the heart and soul of the Capitol. They keep things running. They make us look good. They make us look like we know what we're doing, and they are really great. Yesterday, I was giving a tour of the Capitol to Alawai Elementary School third graders, and they had a lot of questions about the light. And I told them, you know, in my 22 years here, I've only seen it lit up a handful of times. So whoever lit up that light today, thank you for making this extra special by, on my last day, illuminating the light. I want to thank my staff, both current and former staffers. A few are in the gallery here today, and if they could stand and be recognized. They are a large reason why I've had some success here at the Capitol. I've been very lucky to hire people that are substantially more talented than I am and work hard. They make me look good, and they care about this job as much as I do. And that's very hard to find sometimes, but I'm so grateful to have had them and have them. I want to mahalo all of you. I've always thought of you as family. Both current and past legislators, both Democrat and Republican. I've always thought of you as family. I thank you for all the lessons that you've taught me, for your friendship, and for your mentorship over the years. I truly mean that. The Capitol is just a building, but the people that are in it is what makes it special, and it really is the legislators that I've served with over the years that make it special. Three important people are here today in my life. First, I want to introduce my parents, and if they could please stand to be recognized. They're up there, they're shy, but please stand to be recognized. They have been a huge part of my journey here. They are my biggest supporters. They're my biggest critics, but they are just an endless source of support for me. And you know, we're kind of a typical Asian family. We don't express love verbally. We express it through deeds and criticism sometimes. But I do want to say how much I love you, and I don't know how I got so lucky to have you. I'm truly blessed to have you in my life, and I just appreciate you more and more every day, so thank you. And then, of course, to Debbie. We met my very first campaign, I was going door to door, and I knocked on her door, and she opened it, and I thought she was the most beautiful person I've ever seen. And over the years, I've learned that she's even prettier on the inside. And I thank her for being my support, listening to my problems, and always being there for me when I need you. So thank you, Debbie. My staff actually, they wrote a speech for me. It's very good. I'm not going to use it. My apologies to them. But as I was sitting here through the short introduction period today, I had some thoughts. It reminded me of my first opening day. My grandparents are here. It was a special day for all of us, but my grandparents being here was super special. My mom is from Wailua on the North Shore. My dad is from Kaka'ako and Kapahulu. So I consider myself part country, part city. I know some of you will disagree with that. But my grandparents were here. They come from very different places, one country, one city. But the thing I thought about on opening day, of my first opening day, was how different the Hawaii that they grew up in is the Hawaii today. They, in their childhood, could never have imagined that anyone from their family, much less their grandson, would have been able to serve in the legislature. It just was not something that was possible then. And through the hard work of the people who sat in these chairs before us, who had a vision for Hawaii, they had a vision of a society with equality and access for everyone. These were leaders that were trying to create a better society. And through their hard work, it's the reason why I was able to serve here for the last 22 years. And I'm really grateful for that. But we have so much more work to do. Their vision has come a long way, but it's not been fulfilled yet. And I hope that in the years to come, we will continue to try to achieve that vision. We're in a time of great change, but there's also great opportunities ahead. And I hope we're going to take that because the people that sat in our chairs before us, they had a vision for Hawaii, and it's our job to fulfill that vision so that the next generation has the opportunities that we all had. Let me just end by saying this. Nobody knows what the future will hold. I hope I'm able to continue to serve in some capacity in the future. But I am certain of the fact that our state's ambitions, dreams, and hopes will be fulfilled by you folks in the future. So I hope you'll take that with you. I hope you'll continue to work hard. And I thank you for the opportunities you've given me. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Nishimoto. And again, thank you to our departing members for your 46 years of service to the House and to our state. We have some closing remarks before we adjourn. So first, Majority Leader, Representative Nakamura.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of the Majority Caucus, I'm pleased to say that we accomplished what we set out to do at the start of the session. We focused on taking care of Maui wildfire victims and helping the County of Maui address a myriad of needs, helping families recover, rebuilding homes and infrastructure, and providing supportive services will all contribute to healing over time. Last interim, we tried to figure out what we could do better as a state to prevent future wildfires. We funded wildlife mitigation programs, equipment, and staffing. We passed legislation to start up a state fire marshal office, map wildfire hazard areas statewide, and improve emergency responses. On top of the wildfire priority, we passed the largest package of tax relief, $5 billion over the next 6 years, the doubling of the standard deduction, and changes to the income tax brackets will provide tax relief to Hawaii's residents beginning next year. While housing must be rebuilt in Lahaina and throughout Maui, we also approved additional funding statewide for homelessness programs, affordable rental housing, and teacher housing. We provided unprecedented funding for mental health services, including crisis intervention centers and youth counselors. Licensure changes for mental health professionals and mental health training will provide needed capacity to address current gaps in services. High school healthcare and glide path programs will create pathways to address the healthcare worker shortage. And changes to our own state hiring practices should help reduce the time required to fill positions in state and county government. I thank the authors of all of these bills for moving the majority package forward. I would like to thank our hardworking committee chairs and majority whips, representatives from Hilo, Kaneohe, Pro City, and Wahiawa for their assistance throughout the season. And of course, my staff, Ben, Phil, Kala, and Tessa, for all of their support to me and to the Majority Caucus throughout this session. At the end of the day, Mr. Speaker, under your leadership, we have much to be proud of.
For the Minority Caucus, Representative Matsumoto.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As we wrap up the 2024 legislative session, I want to express my gratitude to those who've been instrumental in the journey thus far. First, I'd like to extend my appreciation to the members of the House Republican Caucus for their significant contributions this year. And as one of our members loves to say, we don't have the votes, but we have the voice. And we talked a lot this year, as we should. Thank you to my colleagues across the aisle. While our votes might not always align, our best work this session has been a result of bipartisan collaboration and input. And I also want to acknowledge the invaluable support of our House Minority Research Office. Through the highs and lows of this session, their unwavering commitment has been commendable. To the Republican staff, your spirit of collaboration, even in challenging times, epitomizes the essence of this institution, and your efforts have been crucial in effecting positive change for our districts and those across the state. To everyone in the Chief Clerk's Office, IT, Print Shop, Public Access Room, LRB, Sergeant at Arms, our DAGS team, and all other dedicated staff, I extend my heartfelt gratitude for your tireless efforts. You cannot be thanked enough. Your contributions have been indispensable to ensuring an effective legislative session. In my opening address, I outlined the priorities of our Republican caucus, which included tackling the high cost of living and housing, fostering job growth, strengthening our communities, prioritizing public safety, and driving government reform, and of course, making sure Maui's recovery remains top priority. We worked collaboratively and rallied behind legislation that improves the lives of residents all across our state, from home ownership assistance, GET exemption for medical services, and the largest income tax cut in our state's history. These are all initiatives that our caucus has been advocating for years, and we're so encouraged that we are taking steps in the right direction. We supported bills that address kapuna care, the state's pressing homeless challenge, and working families that need child care. We also funded programs that bolster early workforce development in high schools and colleges across the state, just to name a few. And while we have passed some legislation to support our state, we all know there is much more to be accomplished. As leaders, we know we don't have the answers to everything. And this year, our caucus did our first ever listening tour where we heard constituent concerns firsthand to guide us in drafting our bills. We asked the question and we paid attention to the feedback. And this is because listening in its highest form demands not only hearing words that are spoken, but attuning ourselves to all of the concerns that are expressed. And that means for those in our community, it doesn't matter what party you come from or what background you have, everybody's input makes a difference in our state. And as the 2024 legislative session draws to a close, I am proud of our many collective achievements thus far. However, we know our work never ends. During this interim period, it is imperative that we continue to earn the trust of the people and reinvigorate our legislative process to prioritize their interests and sound policy. It is our collective responsibility to serve the people of Hawaii diligently, and I look forward to continuing that work with you all. Mahalo.
Thank you very much, Representative Matsumoto. Okay, so the chair has a couple of comments, and first to kind of repeat what the others have said, to begin with thank yous for all of the people who have helped us get through this legislative session. So thank you to the Chief Clerk's Office, Sergeant at Arms, our research offices, the print shop, our custodial staff, Legislative Reference Bureau, and all of the staff members in our individual offices. Thank you for all of the work, for all of your work and the role that you played throughout this legislative session. So when we began this session on January 17, there was so much uncertainty in our state. And I know that each of you felt that uncertainty. We were in the aftermath of the Lahaina wildfire. We were faced with disaster preparation, and we were unsure about the fiscal situation of our state. But you pulled through. And this session, in my opinion, is a historic session when you look at all of the accomplishments that you have produced. And rather than speak generally, I'd like to point to some specific examples of what you've accomplished. Maui financial relief, income tax reform, elimination of medical services general excise tax, Kona coffee labeling, macadamia nut labeling, short-term rental regulation, statewide visitor app, decentralized state employee hiring, expanded mental health professional licensure, seniors silver alert program, Kaiapuni Hawaiian language education, animal cruelty, homeless funding, cesspool planning, wildfire prevention, state parks funding, the constitutional amendment to protect marriage equality, low and middle income rooftop solar financing, statute of limitations for child victims, a recurring base budget for the Department of Education, a recurring base budget for the University of Hawaii, increased adult care home payments, increased long-term care facility payments, creation of the Immigration Services and Access Unit at the Department of Labor, Hula May loans, and housing adaptive reuse. And of course, I have to mention regulation of noisy mufflers, weed whackers, and feral chickens, as well as recognition of Kimchi Day. So members, you should view these accomplishments also within the context of the past 2 years when you took the lead to raise standards of conduct and to improve how we make decisions in this body. These accomplishments did not happen by chance. They were all advanced by your ideas, determination, and hard work. You have built a solid record of achievement that will center Hawaii and help thousands and thousands and thousands of people. Thank you for your work and have a great summer. And so for the motion to adjourn, Representative Nakamura.
Mr. Speaker, I move this House stand adjourned. Sine die.
Representative Matsumoto.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
All those in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The motion is carried. The House stands adjourned. Sine die.